Dismissive avoidants don't fear commitment. They might think they do, and you might think they do, but they don't actually fear commitment itself. Now, so many times people will say, how come they couldn't commit to me? We had a great relationship and everything seemed so wonderful, but they were so terrified of committing to me. But then they committed to this other person, or they committed to their toxic ex who's a narcissist. Why could they commit to this person, but they're so afraid of committing to me? All I ever do is show them love. Well, that's exactly why. Now, they don't fear commitment itself. What they do is they fear abandonment and rejection. And their fear of commitment is actually a disguised fear of abandonment and rejection. Let me explain. It all goes back to this person's childhood. They were on the receiving end of consistent childhood emotional neglect. Their feelings were rejected, dismissed, and they grew up in households where you don't talk about feelings. They learned that emotions and expressing those emotions and being vulnerable wasn't safe, and that they got rejected. Now, they developed a deep wound of shame, defectiveness from that neglect because they personalized that neglect. So they grow up with these walls around their heart, and their fear that largely lies in the subconscious, although some are consciously aware of it, is if I lower my walls and I let my partner in and I'm vulnerable with them, my partner is going to figure out that I'm defective. They're going to figure out that I'm not lovable, and they're going to reject me, and they're going to abandon me. So emotional closeness feels unsafe because their subconscious mind, their emotional mind, associates emotional intimacy with rejection and abandonment. This is where the fear of commitment, or the disguised fear of commitment, really comes into play. When you commit to somebody at a deep level, it is implied that you have to be vulnerable with the person that you're committed to, that you can't have your walls up if you're deeply committed to somebody. Well, since emotional intimacy and vulnerability equals rejection and abandonment, well, therefore, so does commitment. So if they commit to the wrong person and they commit to somebody who ultimately rejects and abandons them, they get devastated, and it gives them a paralyzing fear. But they specifically fear committing to emotionally available partners. Because when you, the emotionally available partner who loves them and is consistently vulnerable with them, well, guess what? When they're with you, there's an unspoken pressure for them to be vulnerable and available in return, since you have no walls up with them. The pressure is there for them to lower their walls with you, which makes you the high stakes partner, because they have to be vulnerable with you if they commit to you. Now, the caveat is they can commit, and easily commit, to a partner that is emotionally unavailable, especially narcissists. And the reason for this is that narcissists are emotionally unavailable. They have their walls up, and they are very dismissive of emotions. It's really hard to be truly vulnerable with a narcissist, and they're not vulnerable with you. That dismissiveness of emotions feels very familiar and safe to a dismissive avoidant. There is no threat of vulnerability in that relationship. Now, the narcissistic person, it may be toxic, but they don't have to be vulnerable with that person, which means the narcissist does not trigger their attachment wounds. There is no threat of emotional intimacy in that relationship, which means they can safely commit to that person without the fear of rejection and abandonment, because they don't have to lower their walls and they don't have to be vulnerable. So that's why they can jump all in with some people, especially if that partner is emotionally unavailable. Even if they're not a narcissist, as long as they're unavailable, the dismissive avoidant will feel more safe committing to that person. But they won't feel safe committing to a partner that is consistent, loving, and emotionally available. So if they struggled to commit to you, and you are consistent, loving, affectionate, kind, empathetic towards them, that's why. That's why they couldn't commit to you, because you were a good partner. Now, when they jump all in with somebody else, rest assured, if the avoidant has not done their inner work and they haven't healed that wound of shame, they haven't self-reflected, done therapy, and healed their attachment wounds, rest assured, the person they jumped all in with is emotionally unavailable. Of course, there are some exceptions to the rule where they can commit long-term to emotionally available partners, but that is by far the exception, not the rule. In most cases, their longer-term relationships are with unhealthier, unavailable partners such as narcissists, and their shorter term relationships with people that they push away and even discard are healthier, loving partners. It's the pattern. It's because of their wounds. It has nothing to do with the quality of a partner that you are. It's not because you're not worth committing to. It's because they view you as being too good for them. You're going to figure out you're too good for them. You're going to reject them if they get vulnerable with you. It's their insecurities. It's their attachment wounds. It's not because of you.